What's going on, YouTube? This is Jim Infanis, aka vypermajik, and today I wanted to talk to you about the PlayStation Plus lineup for April 2015. Now, PlayStation Plus is actually a really cool service, but I gotta admit, the last couple months of games haven't really appealed to me. Not that they're bad games, I just feel like I have so many other really cool games out right now that I haven't really been excited to play them. And I gotta admit, this month looks to be most of the same, although I'll hold judgment until I play through every one of them. So this month, the first game you get is Tower of Guns for PlayStation 4, and it's also cross-buy on PlayStation 3, so either console you'll get it. I played this game on Steam for a while. It's basically a procedurally generated shooter, and I love generated games. I just did a video a couple nights ago on how much I love the Chalice dungeon feature of Bloodborne, so that's really cool. However, the problem with a lot of these games that focus solely on procedural generation is they grow stagnant quickly, unless there's a really good progression system. And Tower of Guns was okay when I played through it on PC a while ago. The problem I had was it felt very like Flash type of game to me. So I felt as if some of the textures and the way that the game was designed was kind of bland. And I understand that that may have been some of the artistic direction that went into the game's creation. But it wasn't a game I could sit there and play for hours and hours. And I don't know what about Rogue Legacy drew me in so much. But I loved Rogue Legacy, and I logged probably 50 hours into that game before I beat it. Child of Isaac really didn't do a lot for me. Or Binding of Isaac. Is it Binding of Isaac or Child of Isaac? Well, whatever. See, again, it didn't matter. That really didn't draw me in. And I gotta say, Tower of Guns, I don't know. You be the judge on it. You tell me what you guys think when you play it. Never Alone for PlayStation 4 actually looks really, really cool. And that's kind of a side-scrolling puzzle adventure game. I don't know much about it other than you have to do, it's a lot of platforming, and there's a little video of this little girl. Her name's Nuna, and I guess she has to somehow save her village by going through this story. I like these kind of games if it's done well, and if there is a minimalistic plot that isn't labor and talking heavy and tries to make it more than it is. So, perfect example is Brothers Tale of Two Sons. That game was fun because there wasn't really a lot to it, but it's hard sometimes to relate to a character if you don't have an understanding of why they're doing what they're doing. So I think they have to walk a fine line between giving enough story element to the game without being too narrative heavy. And I find that a lot of these indie games now, for some reason, they love to talk and talk and talk and just beef up this really non-existent story. And I'm hoping that Never Alone doesn't fall in that category, but I haven't played it yet, so I can't confirm nor deny. On PlayStation 3, we get Dishonored, which is one of my favorite games. I played this game extensively on Xbox 360, and I bought the first set of DLC for it, which was the challenge maps, and I loved that game. I'm hoping this year at E3 we get a teaser of another Dishonored. I love the universe of this game. I love the exploration mode of this game. In particular, how a lot of the puzzles and dungeons weren't really clearly apparent in what you had to do. I'll give you a perfect example. In one of the levels, there was a safe that was locked, and inside, obviously, there had to be some really cool treasure. The combination was written on a piece of paper under a bed. And when you looked at it, unless you knew what you were looking at, it would look just like a regular artifact or sprite or whatever in the world. But it actually had a combination, and that was the combination to open the safe. I like that it wasn't like a mini map that's like, go find the combination. It was just kind of up to the player to explore. And if you haven't figured out, I'm really enjoying that self-exploration element. And I thought Dishonored had that, at least in the puzzles. The story was really good, and the combat was incredible. Obviously, when you deal with a first-person stealth game, you have to be careful, because if you're walking around with your blinders like this and you don't have peripheral vision, you have to code the AI in such a way that they're a little dumber, so that they don't see you as well, because otherwise you don't have that fisheye lens where you can see in your true peripheral vision. And I thought Dishonored did an okay job of that. The combat was tight enough that if you didn't want to do the whole stealth thing and you wanted to be more of just a run and gun thug, you could do that as well. So I'm really excited. Even though I beat that on the Xbox 360, I'll definitely be replaying it on PlayStation, if nothing else for the trophies. Aru's Awakening looks very interesting. It's another one of these indie games with a very unique art style. In this one, you're basically this little creature that looks like you're using these teleports, and you do short teleports, and it looks very like a platforming game with the spin on it being the teleportation. I hope it's good, but I gotta say that it seems like the formula for indie games this day is let's take a very tried and true Mario type platforming or very basic element and let's make some really over the top art style and we'll repackage it and sell it as an indie game. And I hope that's not the case, but I don't know yet. But I don't mind the unique art style as long as that's not the selling feature of the game, and I need to have good gameplay to back it up. About a month or two ago, we had a PlayStation 4 game that came out with it was the Greek one, Archipelago, I think it was called. Of course, always being prepared. I have all this stuff written down, don't I? Of course, I don't know what it's called, but it was like a side-scrolling Greek game where you had to fight against the gods, and it was a very unique art style. It looked very hand-drawn, cel-shaded, but the gameplay was atrocious, and it was just really hard. Everyone was really wobbly and bendy, and I hope that this is not the case. There's some free Vita games, but I gotta admit, Vita is unfortunately really a dead console at this point. I haven't seen anything that made me want to get a Vita. I had hoped that Assassin's Creed Liberation, that's how long ago I was interested in a Vita, would have been it. I know they had an Uncharted game that was lackluster. And when Borderlands came over, I know that it had a lot of performance issues. So Vita at this point is just an accessory for people who want to play PlayStation 4 but not sit in front of their nice sound system and TV. I don't know why. Most people that I know are really more into gaming, mobile gaming, either just use their cell phone or they have the Nintendo DS or 3DS because those are actually really good games. So hats off to Sony at least for continuing to try to push that Vita envelope with people. But until I see a game that's just I gotta have, Killzone Mercenary and Monster Bag, I don't even know what that is, Monster Bag, doesn't really make me say, man, I'm really missing out on a Vita. And I've been a PlayStation Plus member for over a year now. So I'm passing up a lot of titles not to get this thing, but these two games still are not doing it for me. Anyways, that's just my quick look at what we are going to be getting this month. Actually, I'm sorry, it actually launched yesterday, so these are actually available for download now. And I'll find some time to play through them. I'm really mostly interested in Never Alone. And Dishonored, even though I've already beat it, I'll definitely be playing it again. This time I'm going to try to do the good ending and not be Corvo the Black and basically kill everybody. I'd like to see the final level be the good version because when I played it was pretty bleak. I'm curious what you guys think about the PlayStation Plus lineup for April. Do you think it's cool? Am I way off base on my assumptions? Are you really excited? Did I miss the boat on something? I always like to hear your feedback, so do me a favor, comment below, subscribe if you got some time, throw me a like or a dislike, let me know what you think. As always, I will see you guys in the free PlayStation Plus for April 2015 on the other side.